Black Lives Matter released their 990 IRS filings. They collected $80 million. Where is that money?
No, I have never used Black Lives Matter donations to pay for any of the properties that I owned in the past or own right now.
Which was your fave? I think I like the Topanga Canyon spot and the indoor pool at her Georgia home, even if it's on the small side.
Last night, I attended The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, Candace Owens' documentary on Black Lives Matter, in association with the Daily Wire here in Nashville. It was a premiere event at a premier little theater downtown. It was very cool. I will give you a review of the documentary itself and a review of the scene at this event. It was really wild, and gotta tell you, I've never in my life been inside of a room with Kid Rock, Kanye West, Jason Aldean, Brittany Aldean, and Ray J, of all things. This is just wild. And all of them standing and applauding for Candace Owens. It is a cultural sight to behold. But first, let's play the trailer for The Greatest Lie Ever Sold.
So Black Lives Matter released their 990 IRS filings. They collected $80 million. Where is that money?
It's not here. Everything looks worse than it was.
Where have you seen that money impacted throughout the city? So my producer just sent me a link. It is just shocking to me because of how much money was raised to think that where he lived, the bills weren't being covered. Super frustrating, but that's a dead end, so. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ready for some BLM pride? Another $200K went to escorts, BDSM workers, strippers, peep show workers, phone sex operators, and webcam performers. And then at that moment, it became personal. And I thought, not only am I going to say the truth, I am going to scream the truth louder than you can scream the lies. It's incredible that the majority of the world hasn't seen this.
All right, so we got an invitation to attend this premiere, and we were honored to go. It was called a funeral for the Black Lives Matter movement. The invitation said, please dress as though you're going to a funeral. So we wore all black, got into a car, and headed downtown. When we got there, it was a smallish theater, very artsy, kind of like you were inside of a distillery, and there was open bar and open seating, a lot of security getting in, obviously, but I didn't realize that was because Kanye West, Mr. West, was about to be in the building. The giant screen in the middle of the stage that sort of had Candace's face on it, and the art for the movie flips to a Tucker Carlson live hit where Candace pops on, and Candace does a live Tucker hit with the audience applauding to her best lines. Tucker Carlson, consider getting a live audience. It was actually very cool to watch Tucker live with a couple hundred people. And the crowd was getting rowdy. And then the music, which has been Kanye West the entire time. So Kanye has been playing the entire time in the large theater hall. Suddenly everyone is like directed to the red carpet. There was a very small red carpet over in the corner, and it's Kanye West himself who has walked in. Kanye arrived. He was wearing a hat that said 2024 on it, and he had a big black jacket, very fashion, and Kanye West had just been debanked. If I had gotten a chance to walk up and ask him a question, I would have, but as you can imagine, Kanye has a lot of security around him, and so we were not able to ask Kanye West about debanking.
He is the richest black man in American history that put $140 billion in Bitcoin Morgan and never even had a chance to not even get deals. We'll speak at a different time.
But he's doing this on the tail end of literally that news cycle, which had broken an hour before, and Kanye West was in the building. Soon afterwards, all the lights went black, and Candace Owens appeared. And Candace Owens was wearing like an evening gown, like Oscar-style dress. She gets up and gives a speech. She talks about the movie. She talks about what she wanted to do with the movie and exposing BLM, and more importantly, in exposing sort of this moment and not letting people forget that they had been defrauded. So there's a lot of people who I think believed that BLM was a fraud at the time, and regardless of what they believed about George Floyd, thought that BLM was in fact a scam. And Candace Owens went ahead and proved that. Candace said that the reason that she was doing it during her speech was because of her faith in God, because she is fighting an atheistic movement that hates God and that hates you and that is trying to use division in order to break this country in half. And man, they're doing a damn good job. So then Candace goes upstairs and click it. The movie starts, baby, and it was enrapturing. The entire movie itself was wild. But before I get into that, I got to tell you, as Candace is going upstairs, you're sort of following her and you're realizing that, one, you have Ray J sitting up there with Kanye West. That I didn't realize. Two, you had Kid Rock up there, plus the Aldeans. So you have Jason and Brittany Aldean upstairs. It was a star-studded event. Now, the event itself was also very intimate. It's probably only 150 people inside of the room. So this was just wild to be that much stardom, that much fame inside of this little place and celebrating a funeral for Black Lives Matter. So the movie itself, the documentary itself, was wide-ranging and wild. I can say that what it exposed was the addiction story of George Floyd, and it did so, I think, in a very touching way, talking about his struggles, talking about his personal struggles and his past history, but really telling the story of his addiction. And that's really what the story should have been, which is the pain of addiction and how we must solve the drug crisis in this country. And the fentanyl that George Floyd took, that the autopsy revealed that he had in his body, the deadly dose in his body of fentanyl, that probably came from an open border. That probably came from China. That probably was manufactured in China, taken across our open border. And maybe we should have had a conversation about that, because that happens to 100,000 Americans a year plus overdose from fentanyl. But instead, what happened is the fraudulent and communist Black Lives Matter movement went and used that tragedy in order to fundraise nearly $100 million. And what did they do with that money? Candace goes and investigates and really goes to the source, goes to Patrisse Cullors' mansion, talks with a lot of people who were involved in the fundraising, does some phone calls to some of the organizations that BLM is like laundering money through, and really exposes, she did an incredible job exposing them as like a money laundering operation. And that's what ultimately happened here, is the money that was raised by BLM was then doled out to all these other like extreme organizations, a lot of trans rights movement organizations. I think she tabulated nearly $3 million went towards $3 million of the $100 million went towards like extreme trans rights, gender nonconforming, gender non-binary types of nonprofits, which don't file their IRS paperwork and which nobody knows what they do. So the question of how much of this money was laundered remained out there, but Candace did an incredible job of going through and exposing how every person who got some big payout from BLM, from Patrisse Cullors, had some connection to her, whether it's her brother, her mother, coffee shop owner that she liked to frequent. And then, of course, Patrisse Cullors does a weepy, crying Instagram, and Candace Owens says her ultimate goal is to get them to like fold up the actual movement, to get them to say that they have done such an egregious job of actually spending this money on the black culture and on problems for black Americans, that they should just pack up shop and leave. And Candace, of course, does a pretty brutal expose. I encourage you all to watch it. It is revealing, and it is shocking that it falls to someone like Candace Owens and not to Dateline or 60 Minutes or, in the investigatory bodies inside of our journalism entities, legacy journalism entities, to actually do this kind of reporting. This is what they would do when I was growing up. They would go and expose these types of scams and frauds. Of course, they won't touch this with a 2,000-foot pole because of the stigmatism, and because, of course, they just want you to forget the frauds perpetrated on the American people by their movements. So the left is totally evil and complicit in this, and Candace Owens, of course, goes directly at the media itself as being the major fundraising entity for BLM, and then, holds absolutely no punches for Patrisse Cullors and for the BLM executive movement the BLM executives who have essentially like money laundered, right? This is what she exposes, is money laundering. The details are stunning. It is really a wonderfully told story. It is something that had to be re-edited, according to some of the people involved in the film, because because BLM dropped their 990 to the IRS, which sort of shows where they spent all their money. That you have to go ahead and detail like where all the money went, and boy, that was a bombshell. And Candace went in hard on it, and she had a standing ovation at the end of the documentary. The documentary is available on the Daily Wire, their streaming platform, Daily Wire Plus. Afterwards, there was an after party. You could see the likes of Kanye West hanging out with James O'Keefe. You could see Robert Malone hanging out with yours truly. It was very neat to talk to that dude. And we look forward to doing more with some of the interesting and very, like, just wildly culturally consequential creators that we met last night, including, but not limited to, the Aldeans. And the Kanye West story, can we tell it? We would love to. We'll see. Kanye West was hanging out with James O'Keefe, man. This is a photo that rocked the internet. What's going to happen to Pete Davidson? Who knows? We'll see. But it was a very interesting night. And my major takeaways here is that, one, this is a medium that is incredibly powerful, and conservatives need to take, and freedom-minded people need to take part in this medium more, the documentary style medium and the large form storytelling and investigation medium. So often, and I'm very guilty of this, we sit and yell at a camera, but we don't get out and actually do the shoe leather work. And so it is important to go out and do the actual reporting and to uncover actual new facts and to move stories forward. Two, this movement has an incredible amount of cultural power to it. And as the left descends into irrelevance and into the cultural abyss, where they don't create or make anything that anybody cares about anymore, and they just create essentially cultural cancer, people are going to migrate to real creators. And the right has a lot of real creators that are really good at this and that partake in culture and that create culture that is beloved. I mean, in that room, again, you have Kid Rock, you have Kanye West, you have the Aldeans, like 1 million platinum plaques between all of them, plus Candace Owens, the Robert Malones, the Bryson Grays, the James O'Keefes. Like, there's a lot of cultural power. There's a lot of like household names in that room. Could you get a bunch of leftists together in a room and name the number of household names, especially under the age of like 50? You could not. There are no household names on the left under the age of 50. In that room, there were like 20. So that's kind of cool. And so the cultural power of this movement, I think, really is what jumped off the page for me inside of that little theater, and exactly how much that scares the machine, how much that scares the beast. It is scared right now. It's scared. And it's, genie's not going back in the bottle. The tube of toothpaste, the toothpaste ain't going back in the tube. This is out. They've declared war, essentially, on us. And so now it's incumbent on us to say, okay, fine. You know what? You're going to retreat from the cultural hilltops. You're going to retreat from like making good content, making good music, making good documentary, doing good journalism. Well, then we'll do good journalism, documentaries, music, culture. And that's what Candace proved last night. Matt Walsh, her colleague at the Daily Wire, has proven that with his What is a Woman documentary that broke a ton of streaming records and did very well as well. And so it was very, very, the vibe itself, the moment itself is very cool. It was an honor to be a part of it. Thank you for inviting us and our show. That's the review. We encourage you to head on over Daily Wire Plus and check out this documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. You will not be disappointed. You will probably be shocked. And if you were extorted to donate to BLM, you'll probably be like Sharon Osbourne and demand a refund.
Thank you for watching. Our channel is here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears taste like ice cream. We ridicule the establishment, and we do so because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you liked what you saw, please click the thumbs up. Please punch, subscribe, and ring the bell to let you know when we have a new video. Don't you want us to let you know when we're live? Please check out more of our videos here and sign up for our mailing list in case something happens and the plug gets pulled. We want to be able to keep in touch with you. My name is Benny Johnson, and thank you for watching. Based Patriots, stay free.